Hello, my name is Ann Hughes. I'm president of the Adrian Area Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Ask a Member. And it's also my pleasure to welcome Rod Pender, who is with Edward Jones. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And what's your title?
Financial advisor.
Financial advisor, okay. What does that encompass?
So really that's helping people with their long-term serious money, getting them ready for retirement, helping with their 401k, helping them with 529 education plans, things like that.
Okay. What's a 529 education plan?
So that would just be an opportunity for somebody who wants to prepare their child for saving for college. So that way, once they get ready for college, they can apply that money. It can grow tax-free, and just help them to have money set aside for education.
Okay. How long have you been in the business?
Coming up my 4th year now with Edward Jones.
What made you go from what you were doing to this position?
Right, great question. I think part of that is, I used to work with folks in real estate, and when the real estate market kind of took a little turn there 4 or 5 years ago, I was asked by my friend Todd Wilson, who's also a financial advisor with Jones, a couple years prior to that, and it seemed like a good fit at the time then. And I think it's all about helping people and just finding out what their needs are and see how we can best do that for them.
So you enjoy what you're doing?
Yeah, I really do. It's a great company, and it's just you feel good when you're able to help somebody that has some investments maybe that haven't been taken care of very well, and you can give them some good opportunities and some good ideas as far to balance your portfolio and keep them on track.
Well, we had talked earlier at another time, Rod, about the commercials that are on television right now for Edward Jones. And as you look around, on television they show the receptionist or the secretary in the front, and answering the call and just calling into the office. Rod, Ken Smith's on line too.
Yeah.
And if you look around in our community with you and Todd Wilson and Mike
Savoya,
that's how it is.
Yeah, and really that I think what makes Edward Jones really different. We've got over more than 10,000 offices across the United States and Canada. We're the largest financial advisor firm as far as offices in the country, but we have a unique setup where it's really a 2-person office, a branch office administrator, and 1 financial advisor. And when the commercial said, "Hey, it's Ken Smith," usually it's just, "Hey, it's Ken on the phone," because we have a limited amount of clients, and we really get to know them on a first-name basis. And I think that's what you're not just a number, you're not just an 800 financial advisor. We really get to know their family and their kids, and I think that's what really sets us apart from our competition.
That's got to make your clients feel really good.
Yeah, I really think it does, and especially when we have a client that has some other, maybe they're working with another financial advisor as well, and you find out they haven't spoken to the other financial advisor in 6 years. You know that they don't know their voice when they call, and so I think that's what I like about it. You're really seeing that you're able to make some changes in people's lives.
Okay. So somebody comes in, they're a brand new client. What happens first? What do you ask them? What do you recommend to them?
Yeah, the very first thing we do is we take them through what we call a risk tolerance. So I want to find out how risky someone is feeling right now in relationship to the investments they either have or that we might recommend to them.
Like, do I want to take a big chance or a little chance on losing my money?
Yeah, and or gaining your money over the long term. And that's really, you'll find a lot of times somebody, because the average person has 2.5 financial advisors. Well, if we take their investments that they have over here and what we have at Edward Jones and find out that they don't work well together based on how risky they feel, then that just gives us an opportunity to rebalance their portfolio and make sure that it doesn't really matter where their investments are. Are they playing nice together? And that's a lot of what we do, is just whether somebody has a 401k they've been putting in for 20 years, well, we want to make sure that their 401k is working well with the investments we have. So that's why it's always a good idea to have us take a look at their 401k, because it's going to stay there anyway, but just maybe make some suggestions or recommendations how they might rebalance that.
So when you said that most people have 2.5 financial advisors, that's what you mean. They've got things with different managers or different financial companies.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And you know, eventually we'd like to have them all with us, but
Sure.
but that's how we're going to earn the business over the years is by, you know, while they're at, you know, working for their company, making sure that we're watching their 401k over the years. Then when they leave or they find a different job, the natural decision will be to roll it over to their IRA. Mm-hmm.
Edward Jones.
Right. Yeah.
How young should people be coming to see a financial advisor?
Well, you know, I think fairly young, and really, especially when we talk about the 529 education plans, you know, I have a lot of clients that'll come right when their kids are born, and they'll just start putting money aside for them. But it's just kind of neat because if you look at the younger you start, the easier it's going to be. Mm-hmm. You know, whether it's just setting $100 aside.
It becomes a habit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And once it's a habit, it's out of mind, and that's just part of how it is. So you just get used to investing. So then that way, by the time that 21-year-old is you know, in his 40s, 50s, and 60s, he's going to have the money set aside that they're really going to need. Because life is so different now. We don't have a pension like our folks used to have, and they think, well, if I put $50,000 in a 401k, that really isn't going to give them enough money to live on in retirement. So we just try and train them and help them get used to setting money aside at an early age, so they'll have plenty, you know, when they get ready to retire.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's happened with retirement? Are people, a lot of people retiring later? Are people still retiring? You know, I can remember hearing people say, I'm going to retire when I'm 50.
Yeah.
Are many 50-year-olds retiring today?
You know, I think a lot less, and I think, you know, everybody remembers the pain of 2008 and 2009 when the financial markets kind of had some struggles there, and but the key is, you know, everybody lost money in that time in the market. If they were well balanced, if they kept investing in those long-term investments, they've made that back plus some now. And yeah, that might have meant that they've had to push back that retirement a few years, but you know, I think it's just all staying focused on your long-term goals and not getting nervous and pulling everything out of the market or changing your plan just because the market went up or the market went down. That's the one thing that the market has always done. It's always gone up and it's always gone down, you know, but it keeps going higher.
It's scary when it goes down, though.
It is always scary, and that's why, you know, you just have a nice, if we have all of our eggs in one basket, if we have them all in bonds, we have them all in CDs, we have them all in higher risk stock, you can see where that's even more scary. That's why we like to balance them out to make sure they have a right mix of the proper investments. So no matter, you know, if the market goes up or down, you've got protection on both sides.
Is that where mutual funds come in?
Yes, mutual fund is a good example of, you know, versus a stock. If we buy one stock, we're going to live and die with that one stock. If we buy a mutual fund, there's going to be hundreds of stock inside of that one mutual fund. And you have a fund manager. I always say, I wish I'd bought my prop of a crayon box. And if you look at the crayon box with 100 crayons in it, you know, that kind of represents a mutual fund. You pull one crayon out, that's one stock. The mutual fund is hundreds of stock, and there's a fund manager that if that one company starts to go under, like a few years ago we saw some of our big companies go bankrupt, they would have reached in, pulled out that company and replaced it with a better performing company. So that's a good way for somebody to get invested in a lot of different companies with one fund. So I think that's why, whether it's a stock mutual fund or a bond mutual fund, I think that's a nice opportunity for somebody to get into. So it can be in all levels of riskiness, growth and income, growth, aggressive, or just bonds.
But not all the same.
Not all the same. Yeah. So that's what we do, is we just look at whether it's a 401k, because same thing in a 401k, you have usually typically mutual funds in each category, and we just help them balance that out and then just get them ready for their retirement.
Okay, so that's talking about the stock mutual fund. What's the bond mutual fund?
Yeah, so a bond mutual fund is, so Addison just you know, built their big school.
Okay.
When they wanted to build that school, they got to raise the money somehow. So they'll go out and they'll sell bonds. So they'll have a bond offering, and so they can go out and sell individual bonds. Okay, one crayon, right? Or instead of just one individual bond, we'll have a box full, the big crayon box full of different various bonds. That way, if one bond goes down, like when we had our concerns about Detroit going bankrupt, you know, there were some Detroit water and sewer bonds in there. Well, the fund manager would have reached in, pulled out that bond, and replaced it with a better performing one. So mutual fund, same idea, hundreds of bonds in one mutual fund.
So you've got advice coming from you, and you've got a fund manager managing the bonds. So puts you in pretty good shape.
It does.
If you had to give a client, what are your top two I hate to say tips because what you deal with is more important than talking about tips, but
Yeah.
what would the first two pieces of advice you'd...
I would probably stay diverse. You know, don't put all your eggs into one basket. So don't just buy nothing but CDs, because right now if you're in CDs or bonds or whatever, you can't keep up with inflation. So have a wide variety of different kind of investments, and then just really, you know, take your head out of the sand. You know, so many people when 2008, 2009 happened, they stuck their head in the sand and they didn't want to open up their statements and they didn't want to go in and see their financial advisor. So I think the biggest thing is making sure that you're talking with somebody.
Okay.
You know, whether it's me, you got to talk to somebody and just make sure that your investments are still performing, because markets go up and markets go down.
Right.
And we just have to make sure that we've always got a nice portfolio of diverse investments, and I think that's how we're going to make it through.
Okay, good advice.
Yes.
Thank you. Rod, tell everybody where you're located and how they can reach you.
Okay, so my location is across from the Christian Family Center on 223. What used to be the Gary Gray Physical Therapy Building, now Accelerated Health. We're in that building. You just drive around the back side. It's 1801 West Maumee, and we're Suite 160.
Okay, phone number?
Phone number is 263-2203.
Website?
Website, just go to edwardjones.com, and then you just click on me, Rod Pender.
Look for you.
Look for
Okay,
me.
thank you. We'll
All
do
right.
that. Thank you very much,
All right.
Rod.
Thanks again.